Yesterday, I had mentioned that we're in the midst of what absolutely looks like institutional level distribution. Since then, I'll kind of call that a double top. So double top, stair step lower, kind of that uptrend line broken in the overnight session in the evening. Not surprised we had selling. I thought that was a wondrous sell setup last night in the evening. Um, we had some lift going into towards this is about midnight U.S. Central Time and then EU session hours. So had some selling right there. And why is that important? This diamond signal and from the trend scalp or the PFS scalp and then the PFS bias arrow, down arrow, were both in the midst of downside momentum. So those are two very high probability setups. And there were some other diamond scalps at or above the trend bias line on the way down. Then we get into this morning US cash session hours. They lifted it a bit. I thought that was a gift. And then the market rolled back over. You can see momentum dissipated. We put in an M pattern lower pivot high, and you got a nice little diamond signal right as the momentum tool had already just made a transition to negative. So overall, this is a very key level. So if this continues selling, would not be surprised to see it get driven down to this level. Now, institutionals are fighting to hang on to this thing. The inflation went up, which pretty much, what is that, 3.8%? If it would have been 4, this would have been a slaughter fest probably today. So 3.8 is not great, it's not terrible, and I think that's preventing some heavier downside selling. I can guarantee you on this lift, there's not a lot of participation by hedge fund side, maybe retail and just investment bank side running buy program activity, trying to see if they can sucker anybody back into the market or try to contain this and clean it up. But that prior pivot, we had a very significant rally up to that point, and then right out of the U.S. session that day, we had a big rally. So there's not a lot of volume in this big initial push. So any additional selling or late day selling, that could blow right through that fast and come down to this level. So for downside targets, that's a screaming, kind of level that very likely we're going to make it to with any additional selling. So a little bit of buying out of the open, then selling. We do make a slightly lower low, and then sellers kind of disappeared. So I don't think you're going to find really active sellers wanting to initiate down in this area price because so many sellers are holding inventory, fat inventory from higher pricing. They're going to want to see this market back up probably around this pivot area or higher to re-engage as a seller. So they're playing for a lack of buying to kind of increase, or the lack of buying. There's less and less and less willingness to be a buyer here to see this then trade lower through the natural bias to more sellers than buyers, and the market goes down, and then the sellers that do come in lose resistance to their selling, meaning there's not hyperactive buying trying to absorb them all the time, and that lack of resistance can cause the market to have a more linear move. Potentially at some point we're going to trade down to this level, so we don't know if it's going to be today, tomorrow, or whenever, but we do have additional news this week. There's a lot of news this week, so kind of this area and above, especially if I had any sort of downside momentum, I'd be hitting that hard to the downside. Not really excited to be a buyer until I get on the other side of the bands that I'm watching. My super bands, not even there, just barely touch mid band on one of the super optimized settings I have. And I'd want to see this area or below before I'd be excited as a buyer. Now, if I'm a system trader trading automated, I'm in and I just let it play out till I get to my daily profit objective or to my daily stop loss. So just taking structural signals on the day, basically we've only had one after the open. You had a short, plenty of room there to get a daily profit objective done. So I have some forward testing going on, and basically I was short, then I was long, then I was short, then I was long, then I was short. So it's back in long again. I'm just watching it, and it's like doing like 3 grand days. And I'm not trading a lot of position size. So I'm forward testing with like, 1 to 2 MNQs if I run it. And I'm not running it 23 hours a day. I wait till 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time, and I run it till 2:45 in the afternoon. So I'm going 7 p.m. That seems like a pretty good time window. The 5 p.m. markets reopen to 7 p.m. I'm not too excited about that time of day. Even if the data was good, I just don't want to trade then. The volume's too thin. And then 2:45 is basically where I'm saying, hey, from 2:45 on, don't consider any new trades, just handle what you got. And if you're not in any positions, just shut it down for the day. And then at 7 p.m., back again, back and forth, back and forth. But I'm getting a lot of 2 grand days, some 3 grand days. And right now, I just shut it down. One of mine that's running a little more aggressively. And after that, it was at 42.23. So 42.23. So, and I'm just kind of scratching the surface of the optimization for a best settings for running it, continually, or at least for certain periods of time. Now I could run it. Like Sunday reopen till Friday at 2:45 p.m. straight through, and it would do just fine. That's eventually what I'm working to, but I don't mind waiting and having it, turn on at 7 p.m. in the evening and skip that first 2 hours. It just, to me, the bid-ask spread can go very wide from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. when there's not really any active cash markets trading anywhere in the world. That's a time period I've never been all that interested in for the indices. If you're trading gold or oil or something else, that's a different story, because news could hit that could affect those markets leading up to the main Asian markets open. So good signals today, some good high probability opportunities after the U.S. session open. And all in all, we'll see what we get today, if they can hang on to this and push it back up into the prior range, or if we're going to keep kind of fading and maybe end of day get a little bit ugly until at least this level is tested. So, and like I said, there's a lot of news ahead. Okay, last thing I want to point out, the prop firm Scalping Group mentioned they have an email that's going out to all those on the launch offer. It's a wide range of references and training on Traders Post, and then Claude AI connectivity to TradingView, kind of a primer, some very in-depth specific training that can help with get ready for the next layer of trading that will be conducted later on in the week. So just wanted to put that out. If you have any questions, just send them an email at info@propfirmscalping.com. And they're going to leave the special offer up, I think, till Sunday. And then after that, it's going down and it's moving to a $197 quarterly subscription only. So there you have it. If you have any other questions, let them know. But not surprised we got some selling. And, this is that key level. So we got our all-time highs, and then we have this prominent pivot from down below, or prominent prior high that we broke through, and all this extension at some point is going to give it back. And then once we go through there, levels lower, pretty prominent area in here that was developed during the U.S. cash session hours. So right around the 28,500 level, 28,600 level, and just below. That's going to be a very key area too, to keep an eye on if we really start accelerating the downside, especially if there's any military action that starts up again in the Middle East. That would obviously the markets would not like that. I don't think we'd see anything until Trump gets done visiting China, but you never know. So there you have it. Special offers at propfirmscalping.com and info@propfirmscalping.com if you want to engage with the guys over there. So anyhow, have a fantastic trade day, and I'll probably have some more content out later. Make sure you go through the Prop Firm Scalping YouTube channel. There's a lot of training on hybrid momentum. There's some stuff on longer term trading action, catching huge moves intraday. So I got a 3-part series on hybrid momentum, different styles of use, 2-part series on catching bigger picture moves, and then just a wide range of additional videos and training on the specific tools themselves. So there you have it. Have a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you all later.